Bangladesh is the kind of place that challenges every expectation. As you step into its streets, there's no escaping the feeling that you've entered a parallel world. The rivers, which should be sources of life, are black, covered by a thick layer of dirt and pollution. The air, heavy and toxic, feels like a burden with every breath. The chaos in traffic is immeasurable, a mix of tuk-tuks, ruined cars, and people seemingly defying the laws of physics to get around. The sound of honking never stops, and the feeling of being lost in a whirlwind of sounds and images is constant. This is Bangladesh, a country where living conditions seem to be on the edge of unbearable, yet life continues nonetheless, where despair and hope coexist side by side in a chaotic but incredibly resilient dance. Every corner reflects a system living on the edge. Here, poverty is visible, pollution is tangible, and suffering is present in every detail. But there is also something else, something few manage to see. Throughout this video, I'll show you a different Bangladesh from what you see in the media. A place where hardships do not erase the strength of a people who live every day against all odds. This is a portrait of a country that the world would rather ignore. When you arrive in Dhaka, the first sensation that floods your senses is that the city is alive, but in a sickly way. It's not just a crowded metropolis, it's a suffocating organism. Every street, every corner, every alley is overloaded, overflowing with people, vehicles, and noise. The overcrowding is so intense that at times, it's hard to imagine how the city still manages to function. Air pollution, one of the biggest problems in the capital, is so severe that there's no escape. The mix of vehicle fumes, dust, and industrial waste creates a thick layer that blankets the sky. Breathing in Dhaka is a difficult task, a constant struggle against the polluted air that, try as we might, ends up invading our lungs. And amid the smoke and the relentless honking, there's the sense that nothing ever stops. The streets never rest, and people move as if they're part of a flow that never ends. This is the portrait of the Bengali capital, a place where life and death coexist in a fragile balance, and for every person who succumbs to the extreme conditions, there are others who rise up, continuing the battle, even without knowing what tomorrow holds. The Buriganga River, which cuts through Dhaka, is one of the biggest symbols of environmental neglect in Bangladesh. Its waters, which should reflect life, are saturated with pollution, transformed into a thick black mirror. Instead of reflecting the sky or the surrounding landscape, the river displays a dense surface, laden with industrial waste, household trash, and even toxic chemicals. In many places, the water is almost impossible to identify, covered by a filthy layer that exudes a nauseating smell. The reason for this is simple, but alarming. The river is used as a dumping ground for practically everything. Companies and residents throw waste directly into the water without any concern for the consequences. And yet the river continues to be a vital route for many people. Boats carrying goods and even passengers still cut through the dark waters, often without proper protection. Some fishermen, with no other option, continue to make a living from the polluted water, risking their lives to survive. This reality is just the tip of the iceberg. What few know is that the condition of Bangladesh's rivers reflects a larger system of neglect and lack of control. And while the country tries to deal with these giant problems, the population is forced to adapt, even if health and well-being are constantly at risk. Dhaka's traffic is one of the most chaotic in the world. It's not just a challenge, it's a spectacle of confusion and disorder. Cars, tuk-tuks, broken-down buses, and motorcycles intertwine in an improvised choreography where traffic rules seem non-existent. The narrow, poorly maintained streets are a battleground where any movement is risky. At the same time, the city pulses with a frantic energy that makes you wonder how it all still works. The experience of crossing the streets of Dhaka is a true test of endurance. The honking never stops, a sound that echoes throughout the city and seems to never cease. The traffic jams are constant, but drivers adapt in surprising ways. They drive as if they're in a race, improvising maneuvers, dodging potholes, overtaking each other in almost impossible spaces. And amid all this, people walk through the streets, some crossing without looking at the cars, as if speed and chaos are a natural part of life. For the residents, this chaos is not an exception, it's the rule. Those who live in Dhaka are used to dealing with endless traffic jams and the feeling that the city never stops. The traffic is often a reflection of the daily struggle for survival. If you have an appointment, time seems to not exist. If you have to leave home, the only certainty is the unpredictability of what may happen along the way. The chaos, paradoxically, becomes normal, and so people go on with their routines, adjusting to a system that is always on the edge. Each day is a victory against the chaos that seems unbeatable. As insane as it may seem, traffic in Dhaka is a perfect metaphor for the city's rhythm, a constant struggle where the only way to survive is to learn to adapt. Despite the chaos that defines Dhaka's streets and the pollution that ravages the air and water, life in Bangladesh continues with a unique intensity. Every street, every market, every corner is a portrait of human resilience. The people of Bangladesh, particularly in urban and peripheral areas, are an impressive example of how life can thrive even in the most extreme conditions. The streets are always full, as if movement never stops. Women, men, and children scatter through the market. Street vendors shout their offers, and the sound of bargaining creates a unique rhythm that characterizes the daily life of the city. Amid all this hustle, trash is omnipresent. Piles of waste, often seeming more abundant than the land itself, become part of the everyday landscape. But this doesn't stop anyone from going on with their tasks. Bangladesh, contrary to what one might imagine, is not a place where people give up. On the contrary, it is a place where the struggle for life never ceases, and the strength of the human spirit reveals itself with each new day. The ability to adapt and endure, even in the most adverse conditions, is what defines the essence of its people. Bangladesh is a giant in the textile industry. The country is responsible for a large part of the clothing bought in the West. But what few know is that behind these productions lies a dark reality. The factories, many of them located in Dhaka and other industrial cities, operate under precarious conditions, where worker safety and rights are often ignored. What seems to be a reflection of progress and modernity actually hides the dark side of globalization. When visiting these factories, the first thing that catches your attention is the brutal contrast between the vast scale of production and the working conditions. Workers, mostly women, stand for hours, often in cramped and poorly ventilated spaces. The noise of sewing machines is deafening, and the air is heavy with dust and chemical residues from the fabrics. The conditions are so extreme that accidents and health issues are common, but rarely receive proper attention from authorities or the multinational companies that hire these factories. And while the West enjoys cheap and affordable clothing, little is known about the lives of those on the front lines of production. Many workers earn miserable wages, often below the minimum necessary to cover their basic needs. Exploitation is evident, and living conditions are equally bleak. The factories are often overcrowded, with no space for proper breaks and where labor rights are neglected in the name of efficiency. The hidden side of this industry is a reflection of Bangladesh's complexity, a country that stands out for its production and global impact, but that at the same time carries an incalculable human and environmental cost. Although Bangladesh is often remembered for its difficulties and chaos, there is another side to this country that few know. Amidst pollution, frantic traffic, and massive factories, Bangladesh is a country of stunning natural beauty and a cultural richness that seems overshadowed by adversity. The fascinating places in this country show an impressive contrast with the living conditions in the large cities, revealing an unexpected Bangladesh, full of history, art, and lush nature. The Sundarbans, a vast mangrove region, is home to an impressive biodiversity, including the Bengal tiger, one of the country's most iconic animals. Amidst the dense green, winding rivers and the song of birds, one can feel a connection to nature that is far removed from urban chaos. The Sundarbans is not just a place of indescribable beauty, but also an area of extreme ecological importance, playing a vital role in protecting against natural disasters like cyclones and floods. And of course, we can't forget the smaller cities and villages, where cultural traditions are better preserved. The city of Sylhet, with its rich cultural heritage and beautiful mountainous landscapes, is an example of how the past and present intertwine in Bangladesh. The local markets, street fairs, and authentic cuisine offer a completely different experience from the one lived in the large metropolises. Here, simplicity and tranquility are tangible, and one can feel the warm and welcoming spirit of the local people. These fascinating places provide a vibrant contrast to the image of Bangladesh as a country of immeasurable hardships. They remind us that, behind the chaos, there is a rich history, a vibrant culture and stunning nature that is often ignored or overshadowed by images of pollution and misery. Bangladesh, like any other place, has many layers, and it's important to look beyond the surface to understand the complexity and beauty of this country. After seeing what really happens in Bangladesh, it's clear that this country is much more than the images the world often chooses to show. Bangladesh is not just the dirtiest and most polluted country on the planet, as many claim, but a place full of complexity, resilience, and above all, life. A country where beauty and chaos meet at every corner, where daily challenges are immense, but where the strength of the human spirit continues to overcome all adversities. What few know is that Bangladesh is a nation that, despite its extreme conditions, has a population that refuses to be defeated. The people here face hardships with an energy and resilience that are worthy of respect. They continue to live and fight, not just for survival but for something greater, for dignity, for culture, for a future that despite everything still seems possible. But what the world really needs to understand is that Bangladesh's problem is not something that can be ignored. It's not just about pollution or poverty. The issue is much deeper and involves the way the world views and deals with places like this. In Bangladesh, the problems are intense, but they are also accompanied by creative solutions and unwavering strength. The country is far from perfect, but there is something there that makes it unique and, in a way, unbreakable. In the end, the real question is not what the world thinks about Bangladesh, but how Bangladesh faces the world. It resists, adapts, and continues to grow, despite all obstacles. This is a country that is, in many ways, ahead of its time. A country that, if given the right support, can transform into a model of resilience and overcoming, showing the world that, even in the worst conditions, hope is never lost. And that's why Bangladesh deserves to be seen differently. Not as a place of despair, but as a place of strength, culture, and resilience. A country that the world may prefer to ignore, but which actually has a lot to teach us all. If you were impressed by what you saw and want to know more about what happens in places like Bangladesh, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. Like, share with your friends, and leave a comment telling us what shocked or surprised you most about this reality. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.